Insulin resistance. We've been hearing about insulin resistance so many times, and you will ask yourself, say, what is insulin resistance? Insulin ankasa no a particular hormone. Your body no, what we call pancreas. It is in our body. The pancreas actually releases insulin, that hormone called insulin. Pancreas, it releases the hormone called insulin. When do we release the hormone called insulin? It is when we eat food. Whether you eat protein, fat, carbohydrates, it releases insulin. And why is it necessary? Say the body will release insulin. It is necessary because anytime you eat any kind or sort of food or type of food, it converts into what? Glucose. Another word for glucose is what? Sugar. Okay. Whether you're eating protein, fat, or carbohydrate, it converts into glucose. So is it good that when we eat food, it converts into glucose? Of course, we need glucose for energy. If you're a mom here, you realize that anytime you give birth at the hospital, they want to give the baby glucose. Why are they giving glucose to the baby? Because the baby needs energy. As I say so first, so the baby needs glucose to support certain things. Okay, now, what does the glucose give to us, or what does it do for us? It gives us energy for us to be able to think, to breathe, to do our daily activities. It feeds the liver, it feeds the muscle as well. Okay, so is it good or bad to have glucose in your system? It is good to have glucose, but you don't need to have that in excess. So there are certain foods that rapidly convert into sugar, or what we call glucose. The type of food I converted into glucose very fast is carbohydrate. That's why a lot of people have resolved to the fact that I am not going to take carbohydrate. But you need carbohydrate for energy. Does protein also convert into glucose? Yes, it does. But the rate at which protein converts into sugar or glucose is slower, okay, compared to carbohydrates. So when it comes to carbohydrates, we have the complex carbohydrates and we have what? The simple carbohydrates. The simple carbohydrates are carbohydrates that had been, the fiber had been ripped off into a processed carbohydrate, the baked foods like cake, pastries, biscuits, and then toffees, drinks, and all these things do have sugars that are so simple, and it spikes the blood sugar. So when you take in food, your blood sugar is supposed to go up, okay? But it is not supposed to spike. So when you chew meat, your blood sugar goes up. When you take healthy fat like avocado, your blood sugar goes up. But when you take simple carbohydrate, benku, wache, plain rice, veggies, enkaho, raw sakura jollof, any adiade, bread, white bread, butter bread, cake, bayayache, koko gobe, koko ayache, dokodokonom, ni nano spiky your blood sugar, and that is where we say that it is so alarming. Your blood sugar is supposed to go up, but it is not supposed to spike. So the moment I will start spiking your blood sugar, and that is where issues start coming in. So the moment you eat food, let me use this as an example. See what I'm holding here as carbohydrate or food, and see what I'm holding here as insulin. Okay, the moment that the body receives carbohydrate or food, your insulin is being released by the pancreas. What it does is it is supposed to go and bring down what? The blood sugar. The insulin is supposed to go and tell the blood sugar that we need energy. We need energy. So if you need energy for your thinking, for your activities. And so the insulin will say that go into the liver. It will tell the blood sugar, go into the liver, we will need some. Go into the muscle, we will need some. So when these two areas exhaust the blood sugar, if it has it in excess, what happens is the excess is being stored as fat. Now, when it has it in excess and you finish storing it as fat, the rest is left in the blood. That is when you test your blood, you begin to see that blood sugar not was sure. And what causes that? Simple carbohydrate. Simple carbohydrate causes that. Bread, white bread, sugar bread, ripe plantain, white rice, okay, baked stuff, cake. I mean, you know the processed carbs that we are talking about. But the moment you have taken carbs that do have fiber, the blood sugar goes up, but and spike it, and slow down with it going up. Even though insulin will be released, it doesn't spike it. And so insulin is being released to bring it down. Okay, this bit is being understood. And so having insulin produced by the body is good because it is supposed to go there so that it takes the blood sugar to the necessary areas like your liver and your muscle to work with it. Now, when we say that somebody had developed insulin resistance, it means that you have a lot of sugar in your blood and you have released a lot of insulin to the extent that now insulin is not working properly, or now your body is resisting the function of the insulin. Your body is resisting the function of the insulin. So now the insulin, you're resisting in the sense that your liver cannot function the way it's supposed to function. It is not taking the sugar from your blood to your liver. It is no more taking sugar from your blood to what? To your muscle. And what happens is the sugar is sitting right in your blood. The sugar is sitting right in your blood. So that is carbohydrate overload, glucose overload, sugar overload in your blood. And that is what usually people who have pre-diabetes do have. And if you do not reverse that and make the insulin sensitive, what happens is it leads to type 2 diabetes. Insulin is like a teller at the bank that takes in cash anytime you do what you deposit. Now call your cash your carbohydrate or your food. Then when Ojisikana or deposit it into your account is your muscle and your liver. Now at a point, the teller is overwhelmed with ejumana or so after what the cash neba at the teller na the side na our bank nima, the teller is no more able to do what? To deposit the cash into your account. So what happens is a lot of money is left on the desk of the teller. When it's left on the desk of the teller, now what happens? Obia timi wiebi. Tell say ya wiebia timi eden. And so we do not need to be dumping a lot of carbohydrates into our body or be eating frequently every 2 hours. Into extra now you begin to have what we call insulin resistance. That one opens room, or is the key that opens room for all sorts of sickness. That is insulin resistance. Now that you understand what insulin is, now we have moved on to insulin resistance for you to understand what insulin resistance is. Now, how do you know that you have insulin resistance? Number one is you can get tested at the hospital through your blood. You can get tested at the hospital through your blood. And again, when you wake up in the morning and you haven't eaten, okay, now we'll check your fasting blood sugar and you're around 8, 9, 10, 15, a danger zone. But sorry, I'm not partner with the now check your blood sugar. Now on number 5, 4 point something, 6.2, a manageable, 5, 4 point something, a correct, 6.2, 6.4 is not that bad, but in this area, a bro, sir. Now there are some signals that sometimes you don't really need to go to the to the hospital to get tested. But when you see that it is developing on your body, then you begin to know that you are experiencing insulin resistance. Especially those having bigger tummy, a number one signal for you to know that you have insulin resistance. And people think that it is only those who are overweighted insulin resistance. No, they will go on or your slim but. And so equally, there's overload of glucose or sugar in your blood, and it is likely that you also do have insulin resistance. And risk high. That is why a lot of people who are slim do think that they okay, fit, but and you have a lot of sugar in your blood, and that is what we usually term it as pre-diabetes. Okay, that's what usually we call pre-diabetes. All right, so here let's just move straight to the signs that do show that you have insulin resistance. I think I made mention that protruding belly. It can be a slim, it can be for somebody who is overweight or somebody who is obese. And so if you have a bigger tummy, it means that your visceral fat is really high and you need to check it. Number 2 is skin changes in color. In two months, you have some patches be color no so you begin to see some skin tags, and you see some colors, dark patches there, which is so unusual, or probably it is also uncommon. It is also another sign to show that you have insulin resistance. Another risk factor is if you have a sedentary lifestyle. You don't like exercise, you don't move your body, you do not walk, you do not create intentional time, 15, 30, 20 minutes to do some walking. We're not even talking about going to the insulin resistance. Then genetics or family history. You're coming from a family whereby your mama is diabetic or diabetes type 2. Your dad is also diabetic. It means that it is likely that you can also develop pre-diabetes or also have insulin resistance. And so if you have that kind of family history, it means that you have to really be watchful or mindful with the things that you feed yourself with so that you can prevent that. Then what it also does is usually those who have metabolic fluctuations or metabolic factors issues, to say you have high cholesterol, your BP is also high. It is also highly possible that you can also get insulin resistance. Then other things we can be looking at, smoking as well can also make you get insulin resistance. Then carbohydrates. If you are somebody that you are always taking meals that are so high in carbohydrate, your chances of getting insulin resistance is very high. You know, when we are buying wachi, you buy 15 cedis. Then the salad, the one that's supposed to control the sugar spike, you buy 2 cedis. You are guilty. Some, you don't be laughing, my people are laughing because they are guilty. Some don't even buy salad at all. Some don't even buy salad at all. You buy wache 15, macaroni 2 cedis or 5 cedis, gari 3 cedis. Then you don't even buy salad. I don't come back and say salad because I see salad, no. Rather, if the person wants to buy salad, will buy salad 2 cedis. You are rather loading your blood with a lot of sugar, right? And what is supposed to control the sugar, you have rather put in 2 cedis. You have rather bought heart disease, 15 cedis, and you've bought insulin, 2 cedis. You've bought diabetes, 15 cedis, and you've bought insulin, 2 cedis. So now the diabetes is the wache. And then you've bought the insulin that is supposed to control the blood sugar, you've bought 2 cedis. You've bought beans, 15 cedis. You've bought fried plantain, kokono, the one that tastes like sugar. What for type 2 diabetes, 20 cedis. Na salad in the what 2 cedis. You see what the kind of harm we are causing to our health? You get it? You've bought the overweight, 20 cedis, jollof, and you've bought the medication, salad, 2 cedis. So it means that fiber now was a control your blood sugar. No? and no papa no was say no more to be 10 cedis. Now I told watch be 5 or 10 cedis. No, you didn't do it that way, and so we are all guilty. We are all guilty. If you are eating carbohydrate 3 times in a day, you need to check it, because the moment carbs enters your tummy 3-4 times in a day, you are spiking your blood sugar. Okay, the moment every every 2 hours, every 1 hour, you put something in your mouth. There's always chips in your bag. There's always biscuits in your bag. There's always candies in your bag. There's always something going into your mouth. Realize that insulin no ebestro. The moment ebestro na ebe overwhelmed with the sugar that is in your blood from carbohydrates or frequent eating of food, what is going to do is it is now going to give you that kind of resistance that it opens room for all sort of sickness to come in. And so I'm saying that this particular session is very important, because don't you eat carbs? You do eat carbs, but you know that you need to clothe your carbs with either a carbohydrate blocker, or you need to balance your food with a sugar balanced tea, or you need to have a lot of vegetables being part of your meals. And do you even know the order at which you have to even be eating your meals? Granted, if you have a balanced diet on your plate, you do not know. And that is why it is always good to join us to get yourself educated for free. So now let's talk about how to reverse that. Uyo bia wutadi carbohydrate teso. Uyo bia wutadi carbohydrates, jollof, rice, wacha, won fat vegetables, and kawa fabi ekawon. Build your food around veggies and lean protein than rather loading your carbohydrates. That is one way you can do it. Reverse your insulin resistance. Number 2 is lose weight. Sure. The moment you start losing weight, you start correcting your insulin resistance. The moment you start losing belly fat, you can even correct your heart disease. The moment you start losing weight, you can correct your type 2 diabetes. The moment you start losing weight, you can correct your hypertension. The moment you start losing weight, you can correct your fatty liver. The moment you start losing weight, okay, you may prevent you getting stroke. The moment you start losing weight, you can correct your insulin resistance and be on a low breast capsule. It is doing amazing. It helps you to shrink the fat in your breast as well. The other bit is eating a balanced diet, low sugar meal. The moment you start eating a balanced diet, on the plate, you have your non-starchy carbs, which is your vegetables, okay? You have your leafy greens in there. You have small complex carb, sweet potatoes, brown rice, quinoa rice, jollof, nekakuebi, and your veggies is more than your carbohydrates. You have your lean protein. You have your healthy fat like avocado. If you start eating balanced diet, you will be able to do what? To reverse your insulin resistance. Then decrease how frequently you eat food. And every 2 hours, people come to Odibo fruits, kakra, or red plantain chips, or the biscuits we are in the bag. You are not eating to grow, my dear brother or sister. You are eating to heal. You are eating to survive. And so, you need a lot of food or frequent eating of food. You know what happens? Anytime you put in food at short intervals, your insulin goes up. Your insulin had gone up because your glucose has also gone up. And you do that frequently, you begin to have insulin resistance. And the insulin doesn't work properly again because what happens into a show, then you open room for all sort of illnesses as well. Then stay active, okay? Anytime you take your meal, whether it is breakfast, lunch, or dinner, when you walk about 10 or 15 minutes, it brings down the sugar in the blood. Then we have supplements. Let's come to supplements. That's why SlimNfit is here. I've told you that carbohydrate will spike your blood sugar, especially the simple ones and those who are doing less veggies. So, carbohydrate if you know you eat carbohydrates, raise your hand up. Okay. And if you eat carbohydrates, these two should be your best friend. Because carbohydrate converts into sugar. into your body. And when it converts into sugar, the body releases the hormone called insulin. Now, when the body releases the hormone called insulin, it is supposed to tell the sugar that we need you for energy. So the liver takes its own sugar, then the muscle also takes its own sugar. The rest that is not needed is being converted into fat, and the excess is being left in your blood. And that is what we call it high blood sugar. Now, high blood sugar makes you become what? Pre-diabetic. And if not being corrected, what happens is it leads to type 2 diabetes. When it leads to type 2 diabetes, you've opened room what? For your insulin to not function properly, or for your insulin to have what we call insulin resistance. Then it opens room for heart diseases. It opens rooms for what? Visceral fat. It opens room for hypertension. It can lead to stroke. It can lead to death. It leads to overweight. It leads to type 2 diabetes. And these are lifestyle issues. So if you know you eat carbohydrates, you need a carbohydrate blocker. What it's going to do is going to neutralize the calories or the spiking of the blood sugar from carbohydrates, because then you chew it 20 minutes or 10 minutes before you eat your carbohydrate to bring down the spike. It can also control your weight, because it is going to absorb the sugar, all the calories from your carbohydrates, some of it, so that you do not leave anything called excess in your blood. Now, this is a sugar balance. You take that in the morning before you introduce any meal into your system, so that it balances the sugar from any meal that you eat, whether it is from protein, it is from carbohydrate, it is from your healthy fat. Kindly note that all meal, all food, all types of food, all types of macronutrients that you put in your body converts into sugar. But then the rate at which carbs convert it is very high, and that is not what we want, because it can lead to diarrhea, and it can even affect your child, you being able to give birth or being able to conceive. And I'm being very serious about it. I'm not being dramatic about it. I'm being very serious about it, because we can prevent these lifestyle illnesses. We can prevent these lifestyle issues. We can prevent it by checking our lifestyle. Apart from you having this in your bag every day, you consuming that every day, please take a walk. Please drink a lot of water to hydrate and flush out. Manage your stress level, okay? And consciously eat a balanced diet. Do something, be intentional about it on a daily basis that will contribute to your health in a positive way. And that is why SlimNfit is here for you. If you are overweight, your heart will fail you. Your high BP will kill you. You will get stroke. Won't me and conceive. So you can die. Okay? And sometimes it's not as if you're going to die tomorrow. You're going to go through illnesses with pain. You are going to trip the hospital several times, and you're going to spend a lot of money rather curing that particular illness, whereby SlimNfit had brought you the Hadinone. The Hadinone is your carbohydrate blocker. Your Hadinone is the sugar balance. Your Hadinone is our weight loss supplement. Your Hadinone is our detox tea here. Please, I am so passionate about this, because I've told you I'm an activist for wellness and good health as well. So call the number on the screen